The only thing worse than that national anthem, Corey, is this podcast. Welcome to On the Pole Podcast. I'm Derek, and I'm in my mom's basement.
Now you're in a black hole, dude. I think you're covering the only source of light that you had. I actually hadn't heard. I had heard about that national anthem performance, but not heard it, which is a true indication of how bad it was.
Yeah, it sounded like she was getting fingered during it.
I think she's in therapy now.
Yeah, I was gonna say. She said she was like blackout drunk during that, and she has a problem, and she's gonna be checking herself into rehab.
Yeah, well, good for her.
What a publicity stunt.
It's for sure.
So, you got any personal news you want to catch up on over the week?
For me, no.
Nothing big happened over the weekend.
No, nothing I can think.
I went toy car racing.
How'd that go, Derek?
How did that go, Derek? It was mixed results, that's for sure. We went to Burbank, Ohio for the Firecracker Classic. I think it was a 13th or 14th annual. It's one of our bigger summer races. Typically, the indoor carpet racing is big in the fall and winter months. Not a lot of people like to sit inside on a nice day. So I think it was like 130 entries, something like that. I ran 2 classes. I didn't make the A main in one, but I had a pretty epic race with my dad for second. I ended up overtaking him with about 30 seconds to go. They're time races. I know that's touchy for NASCAR fans, but
yeah.
Audra came back. She races like twice a year. She ran a sportsman class, finished second, I think, in that, and
nice.
She finished third in the B main and breakout, which is a unique kind of racing. So it's like an entry level class, and it kind of teaches consistency. So instead of our typical races, it's a 4-minute race, and you're trying to do the most amount of laps in the time period. So with breakout, they set the lap time to 5 seconds. So our normal classes, fast classes are running like 2.7s. The average classes is running like mid 3s. So breakout, they set it to 5. So it's a little slower, but you're more or less trying to get as close as you can to 5 seconds without going under 5 seconds. So if you go under 5, so you do like a 4.8, that lap doesn't count. And you have like a 10-second lap.
Okay.
So yeah, she did pretty good. She just barely missed. She actually, so they break it up into heats per class, and there's like 4 or 5 cars per heat. And they have they had a C group, a B group, and an A group. And she was in the B group going in the last round of qualifying, and actually had bumped into the A. She was on the bubble, so she bumped people that were in the A sort into the B sort. And when the A sort went, she got bumped back down to, I think, 11th overall, which is starting third in the B main. But she held position, ended up third in the B main. So overall, pretty successful performance from her. My dad ran, like I said, the same class as me, finished third in the B, but he started in the back of the A in the other class and was able to come back up to a second place. So pretty decent weekend overall. We stopped and played a little golf on our way. I actually missed watching the race. I had to listen to it on MRN.
How was Rusty?
He was good. So the thing I'll give them credit for is they can make I'm assuming, boring Pocono race mildly entertaining.
Yeah, they're really good. Have you ever just like watched a race and like turned the volume down or like muted your TV and listened to the radio?
I haven't done it in a while, but yeah, I've done it in the past.
Yeah, historically, that is the best way to get like the ultimate coverage, because you're going to get way more excitement out of a radio broadcast. But it's just hard to, even if you go to a race, it's almost better to put like that, like MRN or something like that on if you have like a headset or something like that, because that coverage is always like so much more like emotional. Because they're like chilling on a crane out in turn 2, getting blown around, whereas like everyone else in like the TV broadcast is chilling in an air conditioned booth. But it puts on a good show that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think you'd be terribly far off in saying that like Pocono doesn't like feel like a boring race, like an excessively boring race, but it just always like, feels like distinctly Pocono though.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, they don't have 2 dates anymore, right?
Correct. I think they just went down to the one, and because of that, it's actually selling tickets better,
Yeah,
which
apparently.
makes
I
sense.
I, I heard there was a pretty big traffic jam.
Yeah. Yeah, traffic jam, and I think they sold out everything. I think it was like stand tickets, infield, campgrounds. What else is there to sell out of Pocono? The woods, like
There's a lot of
like Casey
property.
Kane's trees. What?
There's a lot of property there, though. I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Hmm.
Yeah. Earl and I went to Pocono the year Jeff Gordon came back to run Dale's car. We couldn't make it
Hmm.
in time to get to Indy, and yeah, the next week was Pocono, which is weird that was in reverse order for some reason.
That makes sense, though. I remember a point in time when, like, Pocono, Michigan, the Brickyard, and the Glen were always right next to each other, and they always moved around. But
Oh, okay,
maybe it was because it was back when it was 2 dates, and that's why
maybe.
maybe it was the race in between.
Okay. Yeah, because he came back for Indy, and we found out on like a Thursday. We just couldn't like get to Indy that quickly.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
then we found out he was running it. Yeah, I think there was a week off, like Bowman ran in between or something. But we found out he was running
Yeah.
Pocono, so we we shot down there. It didn't rain the whole way there. We literally pulled into the parking lot, and it just monsooned. And we're like, do we want to buy tickets to get in here? Because the forecast looked like shit. I don't know why we didn't check it prior to driving all the way there.
Hmm.
So we ended up buying the tickets, got in. We got to like walk around the pits. We got like some infield access. Um, they called they got the track dry. We went back into our seat. We got to watch everybody ride around. Um, and I think they did a pace lap, and then they pulled back down pit road, and then it rained, and then they canceled it. So we saw absolutely nothing, but we were wet and
Yeah.
spent a lot of money.
Hey, at least you got to see Gordon in the '88 car.
I got to see him in the '88 fire suit.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it fit yet? Because I remember a period in time when it didn't look like it fit.
I don't remember that. I was too far away.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But so yeah, nothing. I didn't pick up on anything major that happened in Pocono. It sounded pretty
Mhm.
straightforward. There was some strategy. It sounded,
Mhm.
which is a little hard to follow on the radio without like the
Yeah.
visuals and like the little charts on the side of the screen of who pitted when. But
Yeah.
got to see
Estimated
Ryan
fuel
Blaney.
loads and whatnot.
Yeah. Ryan Blaney was able to squeak her out.
Yep. Yet again, Bowman putting in another solid performance as well. And I know I pulled up a few numbers here, like, because we acknowledged, like, I think like last week or the week before, that Bowman had been on a pretty decent hot streak. Also, to the 12 of you potentially listen, we are very sorry about last week's show because it just never. Yeah. Last week's show just like sat processing at like 97% for like 2 days. And we're like, all right, well, we got to post something. So I had to pull the audio and post that, which is already not as good as it should have been. Now Derek's audio is all messed up and he's AirPodding it like me. But hopefully we have that back on track this week. But butts everywhere. Bowman's been on a pretty impressive run of form lately. Like I pulled up the NASCAR website, which is like straight out of 1999, although the 1999 version would be better. If you look from Talladega, he only has 2 finishes outside of the top 20 and only like 4 outside of the top 10, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, I think I miscounted a little bit. But yeah, he had somewhere around 10 top 10s in a string of like, back to Talladega. So, and like the other ones like Worldwide Tech, I think it was what happened to Worldwide Tech? I can't remember.
Who cares?
Yeah, okay, yeah. But anyway, besides New Hampshire, New Hampshire and Worldwide Tech were the only ones that were actually like bad races, 28th and a 36th. Other than that, it's been all top 10s with like a 15th and a 14th here and there. But obviously a win, third place at Pocono after holding on to second for quite a while. 8th at Iowa, fourth. This actually goes even before Talladega, but we got fourth at Bristol and Coda. So he's putting in a pretty solid year. So thankfully, with that win, we will see him make a playoff run as well.
Yeah, we covered it a handful of weeks ago, but Baldwin, before he broke his back last year, he was the points leader. And it was relatively early in the season, but he had another one of those like good string of runs. It was like all top fives and top sevens. So I mean, he's definitely a consistent racer. I think I argued with Earl earlier in the season that Bowman is actually like one of the top Hendrick drivers, not in wins, but like probably an average finish. I would say he probably either is first or rivals whoever is first.
Yeah, because when we've talked about before how like Byron and Larson are kind of like hot or not, and Larson probably finds more ways to lose races than almost any other driver in the field. Because if he won the races that he was the fastest in, he would be like dominating.
Oh yeah,
like or at least like for the most part. And Byron just is kind of like just opposites. It's like he's either like winning or he doesn't really know how the car works anymore, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of rhyme or reason to it sometimes.
Who's the other Hendrick driver?
Never heard of him.
Oh.
The points leader, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, like, and I think at the point when you had said that it was so far under the radar because Chase was still in his string of top 20 finishes, but a lot of them were like 14th. So
yeah,
no one realized where it was. And actually, to Chase's credit too, though he didn't have a finish to really show it this week. Probably was one of the fastest cars on track because he passed the whole field like 3 or 4 times and then was ultimately caught out with a speeding penalty along with Larson and I can't remember who the other 2 drivers were, but the speed is definitely there. Because that would have can't remember where Byron ended up placing like a professional podcaster would, but that would have put all like 3 or 4 of the Hendrick cars all up in like the top 10 or 12 had they just been where they should have been. But strategy offset, like because Pocono gets run like a road course because it's so big. So it's always just like fuel backwards. So like there were people up front, like Jones is running second, and there's generally no reason why Legacy Motor Club would ever be running second, especially like staying there. But he was running, and they like pace looked good. It's just a matter of when the cautions fell, and like I think everyone's strategy kind of nullified in one of the last cautions, which we had a string of right at the end of the race.
Yeah.
And like the people that were on like that strategy that Chase was like the lead car on, that everyone just kind of came in. So they all ended up pretty much being on the same strategy in the end.
One thing that gave me a boner about the MRN broadcast, we talked about it whenever, I don't remember what race, maybe Las Vegas or something. But William Byron had that paint scheme again, that weird red and black one.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know what it was advertising, but I think it was Rusty, actually. He said, William Byron running that scheme that like looks just like the Drive to End Hunger Jeff Gordon paint scheme that we all know and love. I'm like, we totally called that like a month ago.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's like I couldn't tell you what is on that car, but it does look good.
Anything with yellow numbers looks good.
Yeah, like the highlighter yellow is just a great number.
Yeah. All Hendrick cars should have it. Like when Jimmy retired and they did that like tribute and they all ran yellow numbers regardless of the paint scheme, all those cars look better.
Yeah, I think they did that with Gordon too.
Maybe it was.
I remember. Yeah, because I remember like his junior's nationwide car had it as well. And I think
you're right.
Because one of them it looked a little weird, but like one of them it might have been the nationwide car. I was like, that actually looks kind of sick though.
Yeah, the white and blue one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So the big controversy that seems to have gotten probably more headlines than Ryan Blaney winning the race is the whole not Joey. I always say Joey. It's Cory LaJoie and Kyle Busch.
Cory LaJoie, yeah.
They got in a little incident. I have a video for you that I'll play here.
A misjudgment? See right there, big block. Then he goes.
I turn now. Good luck, everybody else.
And then LaJoie trying to get back on the racetrack.
Ha! Got him! Got him!
That yellow line.
Oh my god.
Denny Hamlin got
Solid.
sensitivity training for that video clip once.
Did he?
Yeah. Like after a restrictor plate
Nice.
race, he posted that about someone. I think it might have been Larson. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe.
that was a thing because Larson's like part Asian, and the clip is an Asian woman.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you notice, by the way, in there, like obviously I know Busch and LaJoie's like the talking point, but did you see Hocevar's save?
No, but I have a replay narrated by drunk Jeff Burton if you want to see it.
I would absolutely.
LaJoie trying to get back on the racetrack.
Which car was Hocevar?
Hocevar, it was like a blue-ish, maybe a little blue and green, but he is the first car that like essentially spins out to miss Busch. Like I think when he comes back, like Chase follows him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's wild. And I know I've seen the onboards with Barry as well. Like people are comparing it to like the Thunder 2004 like lightning challenges when like you would have to dodge the wreck avoidance ones.
Yeah.
And it very much like I don't think he did a lot, which also was usually how you won those challenges because doing stuff would put you in a wall under the yellow line or some fail state. But like he just held like a straight line and all the cars just like parted for him.
Those two challenges were awesome.
They were.
Like I wish there was just a NASCAR game of just that, but like a little better.
Yeah, for sure. And like as good as like I can't wait to have this conversation in depth, but when we get like that iRacing NASCAR game, I'm so excited for the racing it'll give us, but I don't think it's going to give us any of those kind of things because I think that's like almost strictly like console developer type short form entertainment.
Yeah.
But I like live for those scenarios. Those scenarios are so almost more fun than I don't know. I just don't know how many people love to sit down and do like a full length NASCAR race because there isn't a lot unless they like get the interactivity of like working with the crew and making like voice chat actually work and understand you. Dude, actually we brought up Total Team Control like I think last week.
Yeah.
Or like 2 weeks ago. But do you remember because you got a mic to play that game because you could tell your crew chief stuff, but everything you told him, he thought you were swearing. And he's like, watch your mouth. And then you just get dinged points for it.
I do remember that now, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah, with today's technology, that could be like super fun.
Oh, yeah.
Even as just like a free add-on or something would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Or even 99 cents.
Yeah. Like I know like Codemasters, Codemasters like a studio with EA now, and they do like the Formula One games. They do like the dirt rally stuff too, which is awesome. But there is a very detailed list of things that you can ask the crew, and you can actually ask them. Like you just kind of hit the push to talk, say car behind, or what's my pit strategy, and stuff like that. And they'll be, oh, this is your driver, and you're pitting for this, you're pitting on these tires, and stuff like that. It's
like with like ChatGPT and stuff. That's not like super far fetched because like
no,
like everyone wouldn't even be on the same strategy because everyone's running different. So like the ChatGPT would develop the best strategy for each individual.
Dude, I hadn't thought about the fact that like to an extent it actually can think, at least with the data that you've given it.
Right.
So it wouldn't just be like you like turn it on, it's like, oh yeah, it's going to give you one of two strategies. It's like it would actually take into account because it could like know your fuel save. It can know how you're driving, like how many laps you have left. It could take in all sorts of like weird Larry Mack stats just to really make sure it puts you in the best state possible. And that's really cool. And that's what AI is for. Specifically for NASCAR games.
You know what it'd be really cool for is the new implementation of soft tires in NASCAR.
Absolutely.
Who knew that tires were soft? Like, if they roll over your foot, they literally do nothing. Your foot is fine. I mean, I guess I kind of knew that because a car tire kind of rolled over my hand in preschool when I was going to school in Jamaica, Queens. I can remember that. There was like a car accident.
A car accident? What air quotes?
What is this?
and I remember the wheel just like
how'd it go?
Just like I thought it was in my head. Maybe my brain just exaggerated something, but just having the experience of having a car tire roll over my feet on my way to work, I was like, no, that really happened.
What the fuck was that?
I don't think I heard the first half, and then everything after, like, it's just like.
I'll play the intro again.
No, you're good.
That tires were soft. Like, if they roll over your foot, they literally do nothing. Your foot.
So essentially, she's saying, who knew that tires were soft? If they roll over your foot, they literally do nothing.
But I thought it went.
I don't know. She's fucked up.
You can't have nothing and.
Is she still on your screen?
She is on my screen.
I don't know how to get rid of her.
Oh, she lives here now. Preview. Welcome, Shoshana Alexandra.
I left her name on so she could get credit. But to get rid of her, I'll play this clip of Elton Sawyer really boringly talking about tires on Sirius XM to give us a little insight so we can debate this.
Okay.
We didn't get exactly the result that we were hoping for at the All-Star race. Fast forward, Goodyear did a test at Iowa in preparation for that event and also had the option tire there. Each of the teams that were testing had the chance to go out on that tire, and in about 15 laps, it was done. It was wore out. So you look at Richmond, somewhere between North Wilkesboro and Iowa as far as speed, and then obviously a completely different surface. So we felt like we wanted to be aggressive. We've talked about it for a couple of years now as far as our short track package. We tried some aero parts and pieces that didn't quite move the needle like we were hoping for, and tires have proven to do that.
So I didn't realize there was another test. Unless that was before the All-Star race, and I just didn't understand them. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they're just going to focus on tires and kind of giving up on the aero portion of that is kind of intriguing.
Yeah. It's funny because it's almost what they were trying to do with removing strakes and stuff like that on the diffuser was reduce the aero load just so the car didn't have as much downforce and make it move around a lot more. But it's like you said, it didn't move the needle enough. So what they've instead decided to do was give the cars more grip that doesn't last.
Right.
So like, instead of taking away grip, they just added a whole bunch of it.
Yeah.
And that image was interesting. Did that have? Is there like 3 tire compounds, or is it just? Or no, one was the wet weather tire.
The wet weather, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot the wets or the white sidewalls. Okay, but that makes sense. Because it's a track like Richmond, which we already have seen like a damp start or restart with those tires. It's crazy to think that all those tire compounds are in play. Like we went from having one for 75 years pretty much, and now we have 3 available at Richmond of all places. But if there's a place that could use it, it is Richmond.
Yeah. Yeah, it can't make the race at Richmond any worse, that's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, like a track like Pocono is a track like we said earlier, like I don't think it's like an inherently like boring race. Like restarts are super exciting. It just does get to a point because it ends up being fuel strategy. It does just spread out, and then it's all like chess. But Richmond is like side by side action the whole time, but it's never very exciting until the last restart, pretty much. And giving those cars more grip widens the line or like the lane. So it should improve passing, especially when there's a tire differential.
Yeah, and the part that wasn't in that clip is, so they're going to have 2 sets of softs, and they're not going to mandate when they can be used.
Okay, cool.
So that part makes it even better. Because if the fall off is more, which it should be with Richmond being more abrasive, obviously some people are going to use that to get track position either, assuming probably not early, but maybe mid-quarter-ish, little past midway, try to get some track position. But then there's going to be those guys who use it at the end, especially people
That's
that are
going to be what you have to watch out for.
Yeah. And if it's only good for 10 to 20 laps, I don't know, it'd be interesting, especially with unlimited yellow flags. You could be like awesome, but by the time the 15th one starts, you might not be.
And the thing with like a soft compound, especially, we dealt with it a little bit when we switched to Gen 7 stuff too. Like, remember, like, because people would run the tire pressure so low that if they didn't bring the tires in right, they would just shred them.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing works with soft tires. Like, the softer the compound, the more you have to nurse them and get them like into a proper heat cycle. If you just like throw them on, if the race goes from that restart or that pit stop to the end, like, within the driver's like, ability to manage a tire, it should be fine. But if they have to do multiple restarts, that tire might not heat up. It might like turn on the way they want it to. So they have to be really, really careful with how they use that tire's grip, because a soft tire that you like just destroy the first 2 laps you have it won't last as long as it should. Kind of need to get it to that optimal window and then kind of keep it there.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I feel like they should call it like the next gen car and the next gen tire. They should just call it like D-gen car, because the old car can suck it. Sorry, that was my stand-up attempt.
Hey man,
but
gotta start somewhere.
One thing funnier than that, last week we talked about our viral YouTube video where we called Dale Jr.'s #1 fan. So, all right, I'm not even going to bring up how it happened. I don't want to get canceled.
I don't even know if I remember.
Yeah. So essentially, back when like Facebook pages weren't Facebook pages, they were something else. I was just like trolling a Dale Jr. page like I do in the computer lab. And I came across this person. I said some not so nice things about Dale Jr. and he just like went off on me. And he gave me his phone number if we really wanted to beef. So I can do what we thought was a mean Dale Jr. impersonation. And, well, here you go.
Call the Dale Jr.'s #1 fan.
This video is 13 years old, and it shows. Like, even the black background is grainy. It went straight to voicemail, for one. So, like, I had to leave him a voicemail. And this came back to haunt me, like, 8 years later.
Hey, Jacob.
Forgot how voicemail works.
Hey, Jacob. This is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Wrangler jeans. I wear them. You should too. Call me back sometime. 716-378.
And yes, I blocked out the rest of the phone number.
Call me back. Bye. I'm gonna get a phone call at like 2 in the morning.
Dude, I forgot the fridge art, dude. You went off. Was that you that did that?
I think so.
Yeah, it looked. I mean, obviously there's a big 25, so that was definitely you. But
yeah,
there's the big drip too, which I think is pretty. It's very Carpoletti RC inspired, I would assume.
Yeah, most likely. Did you see the quote that was on there? It said,
I remember the quote. Good.
It said, "Don't you ever call Dale Jr. gay."
I remember, like Derek and I shared like our actual like room in college, and then we ended up still just being in the same suite and having just rooms like on the corner next to each other. But we shared a bathroom the whole time, and on the bathroom mirror there was just a picture of Jack and House. So every morning when we would wake up, we'd walk out, and I don't know if we like markered it or something, but it was what was it, WWCKD?
Yeah.
What would Jack and House do every day was how we had to approach our life.
I forgot that. I should do that now.
Hey, you can't go wrong.
Now we have the capabilities to just like ramp the whole wall. Audra
That's
loved
true.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
So
are you guys still renovating and you need wallpaper? You got it.
yeah. So that guy. So later in life, I started a business, and that phone number became my business phone number. And I like switched my personal number to a different number. And I'm just like at the shop printing t-shirts, and I get a phone call. I'm like, "Hey, Carpies, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Hey, is this Dale?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Is this Dale Jr.?" No. This is Carpies. It's like,
this is
Patrick.
Carpies.
And he like said something else. I hung up, and then like 2 seconds later, he called me back again. Same thing. And he kept calling, and I just kept ignoring it. I eventually had to block this dude because like he wouldn't give up. I don't understand. He either it wasn't him and it was someone who watched this video and thought it was a good idea to like fuck with me, or it was him finally seeing it, I guess.
Yeah, like 8 years later, getting real mad about it.
Maybe he didn't have his voicemail set up, and he finally set it up, and he's like, "Shit, I missed the call."
I like to think that's what happened. Yeah. Was that on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. I'm not telling you how to find it though.
Yeah.
I don't need any more of those phone calls.
Yeah, that's true.
But
all right.
So Rick Hendrick's going to become the pace car driver for the Brickyard 400.
Have you ever heard of the Hendricks family murders?
Did you hear it?
No.
Have you ever heard of the Hendricks family murders?
I have
different
heard
Hendrick
something
family.
about it. Yeah. Yeah.
But Rick Hendrick is a murderer.
I've heard it said.
Yeah.
Can neither.
Don't say it again. Say it 3 times, he'll kill you.
that'd be pretty horrifying if I just like walked outside like a Candyman scenario, just walk out and Rick's just like, "Oh, hey there."
But well, that's an episode for off-season time.
Yeah, for sure. Like NASCAR conspiracy season.
Yeah, and I feel like Earl's down to get in on that action.
Good. So
but we are so he is going to be the pace car driver, and that's cool, I guess. I don't know. It's breaking news.
Is it like a birthday present? Like
I don't know. I feel like it's
like,
a guy with a lot of money that wants to be noticed.
Like if you're gonna put somebody from that organization in the pace car, you would think it'd be Jeff.
Yeah, the most winningest driver.
Because, yeah. Speaking of winningest drivers at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Derek, I've pulled 3 from what I consider to be kind of like the holy trinity of motorsports. Obviously, there's plenty of great racing that is not in these series, but out of NASCAR, IndyCar, and Formula One, could you name the winningest drivers and how many wins they have at Indianapolis? Obviously, it's not the same race.
The winningest driver from each series, or like a top 3 overall?
At this track, just the winningest driver
from each series.
Yeah.
So obviously Jeff Gordon in NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Michael Schumacher in F1.
Correct.
Ooh, this is the one I'm not sure on. I really wasn't sure on F1, but I had a good idea. So IndyCar, I'm going to go with Rick Mears.
That's a solid guess. He is on the list.
Do you want me to do my second
Actually,
choice?
wait a minute. Hold on a second here. So, actually, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. He's one of 4 drivers. So, yeah, I read it incorrectly because the driver I knew was AJ Foyt.
That
I
was
actually
my
did
second
not
choice.
realize. Yeah, but yeah, good job.
Yeah, well, I'm not dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense too. Like Michael Schumacher obviously is a safe guess just because of how much he won in F1, but they also haven't raced in Indianapolis in a while. And the last time they did, like Indianapolis is famous for having one of the worst ever NASCAR races because of tires, and also one of the worst races in F1 because of tires. It was a race where they did the formation lap, all but I think 4 cars pulled into the pits, and it was a race of 4 cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was rough. And then they didn't want to ever come back. And that's why when F1 came back to America, they went to COTA. They went to like a real track.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
was it
good
a
job.
tire construction problem or the track problem?
It was more of a tire construction problem. I can't remember the culprits here, but F1 had a tire war. And it was between like Bridgestone and Michelin, I think. And one of them took the forces of that final corner. Like NASCAR, when they ran the road course there, they ran that kind of like weird inner loop section there right before like going down the front stretch backwards kind of deal. F1 ran turn 1 backwards full speed, and tires were just like shredding, and they would just like hit the wall. It's way too fast, and it got like really, really dangerous. Like if you watch Gordon's Trading Paint with Montoya, that's a track layout that they ran.
Oh, okay.
Which is not the same layout that, obviously, besides that corner, even the infield near the like first sector infield part is different too. They kind of just tweaked a whole bunch of it over time. But yeah, it was definitely a tire issue. But whereas in NASCAR's case, was it a surface or was that tire?
I don't remember. I remember it being a thing, but I don't remember the culprit.
Yeah, that was the race that I think Tony Stewart said he was going to go take Goodyears off of every vehicle that he owned.
Yeah. What a baby.
Yep. So what you got?
Well, I got my pick for Indianapolis.
Okay.
And Earl's going to give me shit for it. But this week is the week. Ty Gibbs going to win the Brickyard 400 30th anniversary in the Jesus Loves Us Toyota Camry. Sponsored by Monster.
Isn't that a strange correlation? Remember, like, he drives the Jesus car.
Yep.
And there's so many conspiracy theories about the Monster car being like a 666 upside down and some like weird.
Yeah, so
like,
the
script.
M, like the scratch mark.
Yeah,
it's like some kind of symbolic sign of the devil, I guess. Isn't
it weird that he drives both cars?
It is.
He's like the purgatory driver or something like that. He's like somewhere in between.
But my reasoning is he was quick in Pocono, qualified on the pole. He showed speed, from my understanding, early in the race, and he blew up. That was the problem, right?
Too much speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much smoke.
I don't know if you saw any. Yeah, like he had some chocolate milk coming out of the pipes later in the race.
And in his RV.
Is this a joke?
Yeah, he had chocolate milk coming out of his pipes. Diarrhea.
Yeah. I thought that was an AIDS joke because he's a child, but that also works.
He does look incredibly young.
Yeah.
Like even for his age.
Yeah, I think him and Christopher Bell are we generally refer to them as like the 8 and the 12-year-old. I think in that order. Both very fast children though, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's funny that I'll make a different pick because Ty Gibbs was also going to be my pick. like I was talking to my brother Kyle about it, like how excited he was to get back on the oval at the Brickyard. I was like, yeah, man, you'll get excited. And this is when Ty Gibbs is leading, and then Ty Gibbs is going to win next week. And he's like, well, you don't know that. I was like, well, as like they I'm sure they covered it on the radio, and they cover it every time we go there, on like the TV broadcast as well. But yeah, cars that perform well there perform well at the Brickyard.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like one of those races that will have to bandage over the lack of championship in his Hall of Fame career will be a Brickyard win for Denny Hamlin. Can't remember if he actually has a Brickyard 400 win, but I could see another one. And he also, obviously, with a second place finish and running well all day, he is a good candidate for it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a Brickyard 400 win. But yeah, that would also be another feather in his cap and not have a championship, which he'll never get.
Which part of the hat do you think is missing if you have all these cool crown jewel? You have the crown jewels, like literally like a hat.
Yeah, like a crown.
But you don't have the crown. Just like super gluing these like gems onto it, or like taping the feathers onto your face and just being like, yeah, man, I got the decorations. Is it actually feather in the cap, or did I just say that wrong? Is that like hearsay? I'm pretty sure that's a Yankee Doodle kind of thing, but I think that's what it is. Let's ask on this week's edition of Let's Ask Copilot. Let me find out.
Do, 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 do.
I got a new keyboard a couple weeks ago.
Track racing.
All right, it's thinking. I got a new keyboard a few weeks ago, and I have to learn how to type in it.
I hate that. Sometimes I use Audio's computer, and I had that same problem.
Yeah, it is feather in the cap. So yes.
Where did it originate? Probably Spain.
Oh, wait a minute.
Green flags in the air. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Dude, so AI's being weird to me right now. So the phrase originates from the practice of adding a feather to a person's cap or hat as a mark of honor or achievement. So when someone says that something is a feather in the cap, they mean it's something to be proud of. However, when something or whether something is considered a feather in the cap can be subjective and depends on the individual perspective and values. For example, for a race car driver, winning a race at the prestigious track of Indianapolis Motor Speedway could certainly be considered a feather in the cap.
Wow. If that doesn't prove that your devices are listening to you at all times, then I don't know what to tell you.
My Copilot is we maybe should just start introducing my Copilot. I'm my whole history is just questions for this podcast.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll head out and we'll see you after Indy. And then I think it's Richmond, and then it's 2 weeks off. I don't know.
No,
I have no idea.